Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you for tuning in to this week's Energy of the Week. I haven't posted an update for the Energy of the Week in a while, so this is very much a culmination of what's been happening for the last few weeks, and we will also look at the energies that are coming up and what we can expect. So this is very exciting news that we are officially in the Age of Aquarius. So today, the 19th of November 2024, marks the day that Pluto goes into Aquarius, and it's going to stay there for the next 20 years. So the last 4 years leading up to this, since December 21, 2020, was really the starting point where Pluto went in and out of Aquarius over the last 4 years, and we had Pluto move into Aquarius in January and stayed there until September. And during this time, it was really a transitional period for many of us, for the collective as a whole. And as I've shared with you previously, it was also a period of integration and a time for embodying the new light codes of the Age of Aquarius for the Golden Age. There were many tests and initiations to see whether we could weather the storms, choose unconditional love, stay in integrity, in sovereignty, and in our authenticity. So in the last few months, we saw many challenges as the old energies were being released and needing to be transmuted. As Pluto moves into Aquarius today, it means that there is a massive timeline shift occurring into 5D consciousness at this time. So this is really the big move into the Age of Aquarius that will occur for the next 20 odd years. And it's really how I look at it as the birthing canal into the Golden Age. It is really a time for us, for our soul missions, and for the collective shifts that need to happen. Everything is coming into alignment and being divinely orchestrated for this to take place on a personal level for each soul, as well as on a global level for the collective. What does this mean for us moving forward? So you may have already felt an intense shift in the energy from being very dense to a much lighter vibration. If you haven't felt this already, you are going to feel this because ultimately Pluto moves into Aquarius tonight. In South African time, it's about 10:30 tonight. So you're going to feel this massive shift taking place in the energy from, as I said, the dense energy into a much lighter vibration. How I saw this in my meditation a few days ago, I was looking at the earth from above, and I saw 4D consciousness in a bubble over the earth, and it sunk below the ground into its own dimension, and what was left behind was 5D Gaia. When I asked for clarity from my guides on this, they explained that firstly, the 3D false matrix that was placed over earth, which caused the disillusion even in the fourth dimension, is collapsing. These are all the old programs, the systems of lies, manipulation, fear consciousness, and trauma that has kept humanity asleep and in the slave matrix. But the timeline shift is where 4D and 5D are still going to exist simultaneously, where some souls will choose to stay in 4D and some will choose the timeline shift of 5D and beyond. It will be as though we are existing in two different worlds from each other, and this is the theory of relativity, right, in its essence. However, as the earth is also raising its consciousness to a higher frequency, it will be very difficult for many to exist on it who are still in 4D consciousness. And so if they do not choose to ascend to 5D, it's still going to be difficult for them to exist as earth shifts into a higher frequency. So if they are choosing to stay in 4D, then they will do so until it is time for them to cross over and exist in another 4D planet until they are ready to ascend to 5D. Now, there are many souls who have chosen this, so they may stay in 4D until they cross over or ascend here later on in their lifetime. into 5D. Everyone has a free will choice to do so, and all will be given this choice. Ultimately, the choice is whether they choose to heal or not, as when you choose 5D, you are ultimately choosing a path of healing. This is the Ascension journey. So in the last 4 years, we saw ourselves experiencing multiple timelines, 4D as well as 5D, in a quantum entanglement. We are multidimensional beings, so this is possible. We are able to shift between the timelines and consciousness. Whereas now we're going to see ourselves experiencing more of 5D consciousness. So what does this look like? It means that there will be more divine synchronicities, instant actualizations of your intentions that you have been setting, more abundance consciousness, including 5D money frequency, moving to high vibrational locations, your higher self guiding you along the way, more communication with the quantum realms and your guides, the veils becoming thinner with your third eye opening up even more, your ability to discern and tap into your inner knowing becomes more acute, stepping into your empowerment, self-worth and confidence, stepping into your soul mission and new earth leadership, and alignment and communion with your higher self. So this is some of the ways that you are going to experience 5D. Of course, there are so much more. So there's been the question of the solar flash, which many of you have asked me about previously, and I've asked my guides, and there was some insights that there was going to be a solar flash at some point, and then that sort of dissolved. And this is because there's always a council where there is back and forth communication with the light workers on earth, with our guides, to see what is the best way forward. Okay, and so from my insights and guidance that they have given me over the years, we had an option of the solar flash, or we had an option of choosing to experience the ascension process in a much slower way. So for those of you who are not familiar with the solar flash theory, it is really where, there's a huge big solar flare that comes through and it shifts Earth into 5D consciousness instantaneously. So this is really not going to happen as far as I know at this time. What we are experiencing is multiple solar flares in increments, so that Earth and all the souls choosing to ascend can do so at a slower pace that is optimal, as we want as many souls to choose 5D as possible, and therefore want the process to be the least traumatic as possible. So having said that, these solar flares that are coming through are getting much stronger, as we've seen last week, causing a big impact on our bodies as well as on the weather patterns. So as we are experiencing these solar flares, they of course are bringing through light codes, where we are given the opportunity to embody those light codes. And so over the next few days, I invite you to tap into the Age of Aquarius energy that is coming through and really embody those light codes. So what does it feel like? These are 5D light codes, right? Firstly, to know 5D, you have to know what is not 5D. So if you grew up in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, then you were born into a slave matrix of brainwashing and propaganda through the media, through social media, through the television, through indoctrination by religion, by schools, universities, big pharma, big corporation, etc. So these systems took away our sovereignty and free will and kept many people unhealthy physically as well as mentally, in lack and fear consciousness, and in survival mode. 5D is the opposite of that. It is abundance consciousness, not just with material money, but that it does include material money. It is a state of being in where you have choice, there's free will, there's sovereignty, there's bliss, peace, and unconditional love. There is no fear and nobody is in survival response, as there is a knowing that everything you have ever wanted or needed will be provided for through the universal laws that govern the universe. So over the next few days, I invite you to tap into the 5D timeline shift by calling in 5D codes of peace, bliss, unconditional love, and abundance. Of course, as you go through the process of shifting into 5D and releasing all the programming, there will be many lows. As we know, feelings of anger, frustration, grief, despair, etc. will be coming up. But as I previously mentioned, you will have to feel into those emotions fully, know that they are not permanent, and then gently release them. I've had a saying over the years that the lower the lows, the higher the highs, as it is when you surrender to the process of releasing the programs, when you're experiencing the lows, that you can then come back into alignment with your higher self and experience the highest highs of bliss, peace, unconditional love, and joy. And that is ultimately 5D, heaven on earth. So how else can you support yourself during this time of this timeline shift, other than just, sitting and in meditation to receive these light codes? I would suggest starting a timeline review journal. So when we are experiencing a timeline shift, this really means that we are moving into a new life, a new experience altogether. And so there will be many changes that are coming through for you over the next few months. And as I've mentioned before, ultimately an ascension journey would mean that we are experiencing almost 2 lifetimes in one. So what we would have done previously, where we've crossed over and then we looked at our Akasha and we have, been given the opportunity to choose, a new family, where we would want to live, what are the experiences that we'd want to have in the life so that we learn all the lessons that we need to learn. Those are the type of things that we are really going to be looking at when we go through a timeline shift. So these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves again. Who are the soul family that we want to align with? Where do we want to live that is a high vibrational place? What are the experiences that we want to have? How do we want to now make an income that is more, maybe a 5D business, or other ways that we need to be of service? What is our soul mission? All of these things happen at this time when we are experiencing these timeline shifts. So keeping a journal is very, very helpful at this time as you process all of these shifts, as it can be extremely overwhelming to go through. So these are some of the ways that we can assist ourselves with the process. Of course, I will be still offering my one-to-one sessions in person and online to assist those of you who need the assistance, but I will be starting that in the new year. So I'm not taking any one-to-one sessions at the moment for the rest of the year, and I will be starting that again in the new year as I am focusing on other projects for the rest of the year. But you can stay tuned to my blog and my weekly energy updates, and hopefully these will be assisting you as you go through these shifts. I am sending you so much love as you go through this with as much ease and grace as possible, and enjoy the 5D timeline bliss energies.